Got it.
All righty. Oh, where are we? I lost you. There you are. Okay. Facebook Live. We're here. Welcome everybody to Untethered Talk with Robin and Jen. Thank you for coming and seeing us. And Robin, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I told you a little bit earlier, I'm on a fast. I'm on a water
Yeah.
fast, which is
Are
actually
you
very
doing
good
that
for
on
you.
purpose?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's
Okay.
for health and healing, and it's actually really good for you. Once you get to a certain point, I think it's after it's the 3 day mark, you start going into autophagy, which is this thing. I mean, you probably know about it, but it's as you living day to day, especially as you get older, parts of your cells die and they stay in your body. And so autophagy is this thing where your body's hungry enough that it starts eating these old damaged cells. So that actually there's a lot of research, and maybe I'll put like the link in the comments later about this amazing lecture I saw on it with this like head Harvard surgeon dude. But it's really, really good for you. Actually, people say you should eat every day, but you don't really have to, and you shouldn't, because that's not how we evolved as creatures, as our animal bodies. So
Okay. All right. And how long is this fast going to go for?
this is my I'm halfway through day 3,
Okay.
and my plan is to go through Sunday. So it's 5 days. I've done a 5-day fast before, and it was really, really cool. And I was proud of myself. And, because every time that you're like, oh, I want to eat, you're like, you know what? The answer is no. And I'm good. And so I feel good about like staying true to my commitment and having that discipline, which I don't have in a lot of areas of my life,
Okay.
especially when it comes to eating, because eating is like my thing.
Sure.
Um, so, there's that. I'm also
And
going to Florida on Wednesday, and kind of want to lose a little bit of weight.
but this isn't necessarily going to help you lose weight.
No, not necessarily. No,
Okay. All right.
it's really for the body stuff. Like,
I gotcha.
anyway,
Well,
that's neither here nor there.
I have I do have so many questions about this.
Oh, do
So
you?
yeah, so okay, that's another topic for another day, but okay.
Okay. All right. Well, today we were talking about we're just discussing that we wanted to talk about sort of the anxiety that's up in the collective,
Hmm.
and why that may be. So let's discuss that.
There's a whole slew of reasons why that might be. I know I did talk a whole bunch of my clients were like up this week. We did a lot of stimulating the vagus nerve to do breathing and kind of just like reset that fight or flight. In fact, I actually did like a stress release healing with one of my clients because I just was like, we need to bring you down. Like, holy shit. I actually told one client this morning, you're not allowed to talk for 1 minute, like no talking, 1 minute.
Go.
And I made her do some breathing because she was so wound. And I don't. So they all had sort of different reasons for that. But I mean, I just had a client text me just like 20 minutes ago. I'm spiraling, and I was like, okay, great. What are you going to do to get back in your body? So we've done a lot of grounding this week and a
Mhm.
lot of breathing, a lot of breathing exercises, a lot of like going through your 5 senses to get back in your body. And
So important.
it really is. And most of us
Make a
spend
big difference.
it really does like the basics, like this, you're fasting, right? The basics are like food and water and being in your body. Like these are important things. Um, but I think if I don't know why, I mean, everybody had different reasons for why they were up.
Right.
I will tell you that when I did the guided reading for April, my guides were like, rest now, because they like at the very beginning of April, they were like, you get to exhale. This is like you get to rest. You get to be in this sort of like totally even place because towards the end of the month, it's gonna go and you're gonna be called. The healers are gonna be called. So rest now because we need you later. And I was like, duly noted. And that's like
Duly noted. Here, guys.
and that's been true. Like that's actually, I was like, I see what you meant. I totally get it. Um, I think, like I said, there was an eclipse yesterday. which was a big deal. Eclipses are always a big deal. Eclipses, especially when this one coincided with the new moon, right? So the moon and the sun were in the same place at the same time, which was why there was an eclipse in the first place. And it coincided with us changing from Aries to Taurus. So we went from this Aries is
That's a
an
lot.
action. Exactly. All at the same time. And Mercury went retrograde. So all of it was like this
Oh,
big constellation of
Mercury.
shit.
That thing.
Yes.
That'll get you every time.
Well, but this Mercury retrograde is really about like looking at what's not working and being able to find a solution that is. So actually this Mercury retrograde can work for us, but
Okay.
it's the extra transition of energies that really has people like, whoa. I think bigger than that though is that we have had this sort of period from like March to the beginning of the middle of April. Like we got to like rest. We got to like chill the fuck out.
Mm.
And the change in tempo and energy, I think, has people being like, what's coming? Because we're so conditioned to that trauma response.
Trauma responses. I'm familiar.
Yeah. And I think it's just been a few years of up and down. Oh my God, what do we have? So that,
Oh,
yeah,
many.
yes. So I think that sustained hyper alert has us all just sort of like, when anything happens, I think it really brings up all of it back up again.
Right. Like all of it's, yeah, all the trauma. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
You're on
Like,
hyper alert.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's just outline a trauma response for people so they understand what it is, because I'm very familiar with them.
A trauma response is it's actually very anybody it's very individual. Your trauma response is going to look different than my trauma response. But what the overall what it is if there's a pattern of wounding in you that's not healed, that still has a charge to it, that still has energy in it, then whenever you encounter that pattern or that energy or the feeling that relates to that pattern, you're going to automatically go into defense. So defense for you may look totally different than defense for me, but you're going to go into that fight or flight or freeze state.
Or just sobbing uncontrollably state.
But that's still part of the fight or fright or
Right.
freeze state. Like it's that response. Sometimes it's not even relative. Like your response and the trigger are completely out of whack. And
Well, that's what that's what I've noticed about my responses. I don't know
yeah,
about everybody, but
it's not commensurate with the trigger is like
at all.
right, because your trauma is so present. It's
Okay.
always an invitation to go back and heal the original trauma. It's and by that I mean taking your energy out of it and giving that person that same rest, compassionate response. It's doing the forgiveness work. It's doing the like ultimately we get to the place where that trauma no longer holds a sway over you. One of the things we were talking about in class the other night was what Carolyn Mace calls woundology.
Woundology.
Yeah, where you have these wounding, you have these patterns, and our emotional response gets sort of stuck there. So it's not necessarily that the trauma happened, it's that we then end up being victim to it. And then it hardens, and then we have situations that continuously reinforce that pattern because our energy is now and our attention is what is there. And so then we end up stuck, our energy gets stuck in the past, and it almost ends up being somehow if a worshiping of the wound. Because it's like this thing happened to me, this is how I am, this is because of this trauma, I can't do these things, or because of this trauma this is my response, or because of this trauma I need you to act a certain way because I've been traumatized.
Because so it becomes part of our identity.
Exactly. And then if somebody challenges that identity, Now there's like anger and resentment and frustration, and the woundology that comes up is like, how dare you challenge my identity?
Right.
And so
Right.
so that anxiety, when it comes up, because we're fighting so hard against it, is going to create a whole nother trauma response that doesn't necessarily match with the trigger that's in front of you, because there's like this whole depth of wounding beneath it. Does that make sense?
No, it don't make sense. And I want to kind of, so maybe we can clarify it to others who might be like, what? Going back several months ago, there was like I did a live where I was like bawling because I slightly embarrassed myself in front of a bunch of people. And like, I just like, I went like, I just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And you mentioned like, this is a trauma response. And I'm like, what? It's so sad. It's so stupid. But yeah, so I mean, I think that like, I just wanted to point that as an example of what we're talking about. Is like completely not having really anything to do with the trigger, just having it be triggered, and then like the response being way off the charts compared to what actually had just happened.
Right.
That's what we're
Exactly.
talking
Well, exactly. And that it's not necessarily that you end up sobbing. It could be that you have this rage that comes
about.
over
Yeah,
you.
mine is always sobbing,
Yours
but
is going to be crying, but like sometimes it's rage. Sometimes it's like I mean, honestly, when we have mass shootings, it's probably a
well,
trauma response.
yeah. Well, at this point, anyway, let's not go there because
I
that's
know,
just
but I mean that's
upsetting.
I agree, and so when it's in the world, it's, you know, if it hits you like that, it's yours to heal. So then it's your you heal that part of you, you heal that trauma. But I think those times are also trauma responses, or
Mm.
when someone like or several someone stormed the Capitol building, that was also a trauma response.
So trauma response on their part.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
That was
Yeah.
like a long term, right? So when you can see that when people who are in trauma don't do their work, over time it becomes worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, and then you have a whole generation or a whole society of people who are at a hair trigger, right?
Yeah. And like big, big hair
Which
triggers.
is partially what's up right now. Why it's so why people are so anxious and so scary, and why we have such compassion fatigue, is that everybody on the planet right now is in some kind of trauma response, because we're being asked to heal. We're being asked to heal the shadow. We're being asked to clear. We're being asked to get out of woundology so that we can actually upgrade, so that we can hold a different level on the planet. Most people don't know how to do that.
Yeah, like that's clear. And they don't even acknowledge or are aware that there needs to be something done about that. They
Exactly.
think they're completely justified.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what, when you get when the wound gets challenged and it's a part of your identity, then that woundology piece, that's it's like it's like attacking someone's religion, right? It's like there's going to be, how dare you,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
then you get all of the people that are collectively feeling that.
Yeah.
There's going
And
to
people go
be,
in and smear poop on the walls of the Capitol building.
right, or anything, like there's any number of big events. I mean, some people go to war over trauma responses, right? So like this
Yeah.
is big deal stuff, because what we've never been taught, and what we don't put an emphasis on, is if you're triggered, it's yours to heal.
Yeah.
It's not the other person.
Right. It's not, the other person's not doing it to you. You're responsible
Absolutely.
for your own feelings.
Absolutely. But we just
Right.
don't embrace that. We don't honor that in the world. I mean, some people do. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're
We're
so
getting,
close.
well, we're, yeah,
We
I'm
really
gonna
are.
trust you.
We really are.
That,
We're really close to the 100th monkey. And
oh,
it's just got to get really dark for the unconscious people to get uncomfortable enough to want to change.
so, oh, because there's so, like, when we look at people like the people who storm the Capitol building or the people who go on mass shootings, like you wonder, like I know this is probably one of my, it's not mine to pick up kind of things that I'm
Yep.
always on, but like how are those people, that just doesn't seem possible for those people to actually get uncomfortable enough to the point where they're thinking, wait a second, the problem's me.
Hi, it's me, I'm the problem, like the Taylor Swift song, right? So I do think it's our job as healers, and this is what my guides were telling me at the beginning of April, is like, it's coming, we need you. So those of us who have been doing consciousness work, those of us who have been doing healing, already know it's our job to hold the light. It's our job. If it's in the world, if again, if it's in your field, if it bothers you, it's yours to clear, it's yours to heal. So this is what my guides were saying to me is, I mean, this is what they said was, you've already succeeded. You don't have to worry about it. And it's just playing out what's already been sort of foreordained. Your job is to hold the light as bright and strong as you possibly can. So when you get hit with something like that, when it hits your heart like that, it's yours to, what part of me is in here? How do I take it out of the world? How do I embrace this feeling? How do I really bring it in and let it go? Or comfort the part of me that's still triggered or wounded or whatever. So how do we get them to be less unconscious? We make ourselves more conscious. That's how we
Right.
do it.
Right, right. Just like you always saying, continuing to work on ourselves, continuing to clear our shit, that sort of stuff.
Exactly, because it's the
Um,
only way through. It's the
right.
only way we're gonna get out.
It really, yeah, no, it becomes clearer and clearer every day.
Absolutely.
It's like
Absolutely.
the only thing we can literally do is work on ourselves.
Right. And that's
Um,
why I say we're getting closer, because there's so many people who are starting now to wake up to, there's got to be something more.
as a sort of random, but somewhat related observation, like one of the things I just noticed is like products, right? Like products are becoming more conscious of what the people are wanting. So you've got more vegan products. I
Huh.
just bought some deodorant, right? That's Dove and doesn't have aluminum in it. I'm like,
Nice.
yes, finally.
Yeah,
Like I stopped using the stuff that doesn't work at all. But like it's just so yeah, I see you can see it in greater society
absolutely.
that like, okay, well, I'm gonna these people who are doing the consumer stuff, they're obviously responding to what's in the market and how they can make money, but at least I mean that does reflect on the greater society becoming more aware.
Absolutely. And then you can look at like what happened with the election of the judge in Wisconsin, that voter turnout in that election was ridiculous, and it was mostly younger people. Most because so like the Gen Zs, they came in upgraded, and they are not tolerating the protests that happened in Tennessee with the gun violence, and then the ousting of the two representatives, right? Like that was all the younger generations are saying no. So like that's how I know that it's changing, because the younger generations are absolutely, they're now getting to the age where they can start having a voice,
Yeah,
and they're changing the way things are
thank God.
because
Thank
they
God.
came in upgraded,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I always get a little, my little trauma response to this one. Gen X.
All right.
Skipped over.
But
There was
listen,
like the millennials. It's like we never existed, but we were the bridge generation.
and we're the bridge generation because we're healing the ancestral wounds. That's why we don't get any, because we were like, we stopped the madness. Like the the baby boomer generation, they were here to stop the madness. They were here to stop the planet from blowing itself up, right? That was their job. That they fought against they were totally anti-establishment. In the 60s, all the protests, all the movement, all the free love, and all of the racial, all of it was meant to, they were completely against their generation.
Mhm.
So it wasn't necessarily what they were for, but they knew what they were against.
Right.
That was their generation. That was their legacy. That's what they were supposed to do. Our generation is to say, well, we're not against that. We don't know what we are for yet, so our generation is just, we're the placeholders. We have always been space holders. That's what we were. We've always been that. We've always been space holders. So it's our job is to heal ourselves, and we're healing the ancestral trauma. We're saying no more to this pattern, which is what we did, and what we're doing with our kids is saying no more to this pattern. We're doing things differently than they have always been done.
See, I guess that's where I get kind of sparked off. Like I hear a lot of times, like, I get it. Like when you're younger, you're like, you fucking old people, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like that as a child too. Like, are you serious?
Right.
I have to fix this and you did it? I was pissed. But I think our generation was the one who started becoming more conscious about the earth.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like we started it. Screw you guys.
And our job, our legacy is that we do it without getting credit for it.
Damn it.
But
I
that's,
like getting credit, Robin.
you do. Of course you do. And that's like, I had a conversation once, I don't know, I was doing a deep meditation. So I was having a conversation with, I don't know, whatever guide being, so whatever council that I was talking to. And they said something about, are you willing to die for the cause? And I said, 100% I am.
Yeah.
They said, are you willing to die for the cause, even if you don't get the credit for it? And I went, I had to sit with it for a minute. I was like, right? So I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand that, right?
Could I have the credit, please?
I ultimately got to the place where I could say, yes, I'm willing to die for the cause, even if I don't get the credit for it. And that's what it's really the legacy of our whole generation. That's why, I mean, honestly, that's why our generation is riddled with anxiety and fear. And so, like, we're just like, we know something's wrong. We don't know how to fix it. Fuck.
Right.
Trauma of being left alone at 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we don't know.
right?
Except for the environment. We knew about the environment. That was the thing.
And the millennials, the Gen Zs, they're the ones who are actually going to change it.
I'm going to try and help.
Absolutely. We are going to help.
I want to help.
We're the healers.
Yes.
That's our generation. We're the healers.
Yeah.
We're going to help by clearing our shit.
Right.
What we do. Take care of ourselves, because we always have.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So, going back to the amount of anxiety that people are feeling, you talked briefly about some exercises that you could do to kind of help yourself, and one of them was breathing and stimulating the vagus nerve.
Yes.
Now this is not what happens in Vegas. We leave in Vegas.
No, it's not. It's a different spelling.
So what is this?
So the vagus nerve, VAGUS, it's
completely different spelling.
Right, completely
the V and the S.
It's the longest nerve in your body.
Okay.
It goes from your brainstem all the way down to your groin. It is responsible for, I never get it right, the whatever nervous system, is it the sympathetic or the parasympathetic? I can't remember. The one that's not fight or flight.
Okay.
Right? The vagus nerve is responsible for that system. So when we're in fight or flight or freeze, the vagus nerve is the one that freezes.
Okay.
So when we go into that fight or flight response, the vagus nerve goes to sleep essentially because it's frozen. Okay. Right? So what we want to do is to stimulate the vagus nerve so that it activates, I think it's the parasympathetic nervous system, that then calms everything down. Okay. That's its job. That's why it's why it touches every major system in our body. Is
things like
right? It's not. I mean, if you didn't believe in a higher power, there's nothing that happened that's not by design, right?
Right.
You just look at the human body for a minute, and you know that there's a divine being. Right?
Yeah, seriously. Like you can't get past. I mean, look at anything. Right. on the planet. It's like, yeah, there's something there.
Right, exactly. Whatever that is, who cares? But so when you stimulate the vagus nerve, you're actually putting your body out of that fight or flight response, which then allows you to be able to come back into your body and come back into center and come back into the place of like, it actually is okay. one of the easiest ways to do that is breath work, because most of us are living in a hyperventilated state most of
Yeah.
the time,
Yep.
right? Most of us don't breathe hardly at all, and we certainly don't breathe through our noses, which is automatically gonna make your body feel like it doesn't have enough oxygen. That automatically raises your heart rate, raises your blood pressure, raises, right? So even if you did nothing else but breathe properly, you've already brought your whole system down,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're meant to breathe about 8 times a minute.
So
Most
slowly.
most of us breathe 18 to 22 times a minute.
So your body's you're already your body's primed for heart attacks
Your
or
body's primed for that
panic attacks.
intensity,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so when we can slow our breathing down, now the vagus nerve can take over. That's so one of the things I've been doing with my clients all week is teaching them some breathing techniques. Now, I learned a couple of these techniques as an OT when I was teaching my patients who had like COPD. I learned a couple of these techniques when I was doing my um Ho'oponopono certification, how to return to the zero state. And then I learned a few of these techniques as a healer in the world studying breath work. And there's a whole million different one. And you could look up, if you look up on any website, vagus nerve stimulation, there's about 15,000 things that will show up. Like it's very common right now, because I think we're finally starting to wake up to there's more. My favorite is to do like a controlled like inhale for a certain count, like 5 or 6.
Mhm.
Hold your breath for a longer count, like 10.
Mhm.
Exhale completely, either with like a for 5 seconds, or like a really like slow exhale for 5 or 6 seconds, and then hold it at the end for 10 seconds. And it could be a
Okay.
quick 10 seconds or a slow 10 seconds, but that hold at the end is the most important. If you've
Okay.
ever done any breath work, you could see that at the end of your breathing, inhale and exhale, there's a natural pause. If we let that pause, if we sort of exercise that pause, your breathing will return to its natural rhythm, which naturally has the pause in it. When we're hyperventilating, we don't get that pause,
Right. It just breathe. Yeah. Okay.
right? And we
Breathe, breathe,
feel like we can't, because
breathe.
and we feel like we can't get enough breath because we can't
Right.
breathe, right? So it's like that's where that panicky feeling comes from,
Right.
right?
Right. Not being able to breathe definitely causes panic.
Exactly, exactly. So that's why you do that slow inhale, hold it, exhale, a shorter exhale, but then a longer hold at the end of it. You do that 5 or 6 times. Now you've reset your breathing.
One of the things that I do when I feel myself now is it's become an automatic thing. Actually, it was funny. Many years ago, I was doing it. I was like, look, when I get anxious, it's just like a like that's just like that's it, and that'll
Yeah.
obviously helps to calm me down. But I remember my niece, she was like 6, and she laughed at me one time when I did it. She was like, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, I need to talk to my therapist. I'm just realizing that was yeah. But it's funny because I have a friend who's been doing a lot of work, and it's she's seen me do that a bunch of times because like I get stressed out quite a
Mhm,
bit,
mhm.
and or I have in the past, and I don't need to affirm that, but she'll see me do that, and she thought like, okay, that's kind of weird and people are going to judge you for it, because in her mind people judge, and they do, sure, but who cares, um in some cases anyway. But as she kind of has gone along her path, she started doing it too, and
Mhm.
she realized like, oh, that really does
Oh,
help.
it really does
I've been
work.
like telling her for like a year and a half, I'm like, just breathe. And
Yes.
yeah, so it does make a huge difference. You were talking about some other techniques such as grounding, and let's see, what time are we at? Okay, we're good. Such as grounding and getting back in your body. What is getting back in your body do?
Well, I mean, if your attention and awareness is out of your body, you're basically at the mercy of whatever energy is floating around in the collective,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right? If your
Mm-hmm.
attention and awareness is in your body, now you can be at home in your body so that whatever energy is out in the collective isn't going to have the same impact on you,
Right. Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I mean, some of the quickest and easiest ways to do that is to go through your five senses. Again, when my client was like, yesterday, now she had a legit thing. She had a legit stress that was going on. It was really stressful for her. But she still was in that like, I don't know what to write, right? She couldn't even like one sentence ran into the next, right? So we did
Mm-hmm.
some breathing exercises, but the first thing I had her do, because she was really rapidly approaching panic,
Mm-hmm.
was I had her name to me five things that she could see.
Mm-hmm.
So now she's in her environment.
Mm-hmm.
Four things that she can hear. Again, she's aware of what's around her. Three things that she can touch or feel with her hands. Two things that she can taste, and one thing she can smell, or two things she can smell and one thing she can taste, depending on the sterileness of the environment. But what that does is it brings you into this moment. It brings
Mm-hmm.
you into the present reality so that you're not in your head, you're not creating stories, you're not in the emotion of it. When we get flooded with emotion, and that happens sometimes, we just get flooded, it hits us like a tsunami. It can feel panicky and overwhelming, and it feels like you can't find the sky.
Mm-hmm.
You're completely disoriented. So
Mm-hmm.
by going through the five senses, it reorients you. I used to do this all the time with my kids in psych. If they were flipping out, I would absolutely make sure they put their feet on the floor and
Mm-hmm.
open their eyes. Because if they were in the trauma or they were in a like a flashback, having them open their eyes shows them that it's not happening right now. So
Right.
again, we would go through the five senses, we would do a whole bunch of breathing techniques, we would put their feet on the floor, they would feel their seat in the chair, they would feel the solidness of the present world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gets you back in your emotion, back in your body, not flooded with the emotions.
Right. Right. Because when you're anxious or whatever, you're thinking about the future, or you're just not present because you're
Or you're reliving a past memory, or again, that's that emotion that comes flooding into you. Now you really can't function, right?
right.
You're completely untethered. It's like a live wire.
Right. Right. Um, we talked a little bit earlier about rest.
Yes.
Rest. And I mentioned to you before we got on that one of the things that has been happening to me is I've been taking several naps a day and I just haven't wanted to get up. I've been so tired. And to me that says depression, because that's what it's always been the hallmark of in my past. But you mentioned that that's probably not what it is. It's actually just
No, it's probably not depression, actually. It's probably you're doing all kinds of consciousness work. You're doing all kinds of healing. It is exhausting. This work is, I say this all the time, and I can't say it strongly enough. This work is no joke. It is not for the faint of heart.
it really
So
is not.
and everybody needs to do it, so everybody's going to have to be courageous at some point, but like this work is no joke. We are literally redesigning humanity. That's fucking exhausting. Right? It's like when moms are pregnant, they're literally growing a human, right?
Yeah.
They get a pass on every fucking thing. Like pregnant women are like the most amazing thing in my world. They get to rest when they're tired. They get to like they're exhausted. We're not meant to push through. We're not supposed to. So if you're pushing through emotions, you're going to create anxiety. If you're pushing through fatigue, you're going to create more fatigue. That's right. If you're pushing through like I just got to get through this, it's a push. You're not in flow anymore. Now you're in resistance with the universe.
Mm,
Period.
okay.
Right? So if you're tired, rest. I don't care if you have to nap 6 times in a day. If you're
I know what I've been
tired,
doing. It's like,
right?
I just have to, I have a call, I have to get up for it. Okay, the call's over. I'm going back to bed.
And you get to, that gets to be okay. In fact, it's necessary, especially if you're doing all kinds of deep work and deep healing, because you need the strength and energy for that deep work and deep healing.
Mhm.
That gets to be your like full-time job, really. Everything else doesn't.
Right. That's the thing though, in our society as it stands right now, like that's not okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just
And
not. You're like, pull it together,
exactly,
get
get
your
your shit
work
together.
done.
And that's part of what we're changing.
Yeah.
That's part of what happened. That's part of what was going on with the whole pandemic, being able to work from home. That's part
Mm,
of why there's such a resistance now to people, that silent quitting thing. There's such a resistance to working 40, 60, 80 hours a week for some, right? So there's like, we're not meant to do it
right.
anymore. We never
Or
were,
never were.
but it's the culture is changing. That's why people think millennials and Gen Zs don't have a work ethic. They're like, fuck that. I'm just living my best life, because
Yeah.
they understand at a fundamental level that's what we're meant to be doing.
Right. Right.
It's
We're human beings. We're not robots and machines and
exactly. And so if you're tired, you rest. If you need sleep, you sleep. Like it gets to be okay. Like the judgment that we place on it, you're like, I'm worried I'm falling into depression. That's what's creating that sort of disconnect. That's what creates the self-loathing. That's what creates, it's the judgment that leads to depression,
yeah, that's true.
not that sleepy behavior.
Hmm. 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 No, I see that because I mean, I've been struggling a little the past couple of days because I've been sleeping so much and I'm like, oh, I'm getting depressed. And of course, that makes me think I'm getting depressed. So that's going to make me depressed.
Right, exactly. It like it lends itself to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like, and then the thoughts come back that are depressed thoughts. And then you're like, oh, no, you're thinking those again.
And then the whole self-doubt, the whole what's wrong with you, what nothing you ever do is good enough, all of the gremlins, because as soon as like and the negativity will come flooding in. As soon as there's a little bit of an opening, it will come back in again. And that's why, I say all the time, consciousness is a full-time job, because it requires constant vigilance. Because as
It
soon as you let your
does.
as soon as you let your guard down, the negativity is going to come roaring back in.
It's funny. I remember when I was first starting to listen to Michael Singer, and one of his things as I'm listening to all this stuff, he's like, you need help all the time.
Yes.
You need to be aware of this all the time.
Yeah.
This is your full-time job. You need to be doing this. You need to be aware. You need to, and I remember I was thinking, like, at the beginning, I'm like, well, all the time. This is tiring. This is exhausting. It's not fun. Maybe some of the time.
Right.
And so but you know what? I did the some of the time thing. And then eventually it did get to the point where I'm like, you know what? No, I need to be doing this all the time. All the
Absolutely.
time.
All the time.
But yeah, I mean, I also want to, it is a lot of work, and it's very exhausting, and it's a lot of it is not fun.
Right. Well, I mean, I think when you're in the deep excavation work where you are, that's where it really can feel challenging, or a slog, or whatever. When you get to like maintenance level,
Yes.
like
Very fun.
I like I get to look I get to I don't want to I look forward to those dark moments, or the challenges, or the upsets, the
Yeah.
distort.
Yeah.
I get to, because I know then that it's another place I get to clear a distortion out of my field.
Mhm.
So now, and recently I've been doing some stuff where I'm not even clearing out any stuff anymore. Now I'm just going higher. Now I'm just going to connect. I connect with my soul self. I connect with my, so this morning I did a meditation where I got to connect with my soul star. I was like, this is phenomenal, right? Like I'm doing meditations where I'm connecting with my future self and downloading the codes I need to get from here to there, right? So it's super cool stuff.
Very cool.
And I find it's no less I don't want to say it's no less challenging. It still requires the same amount of attention.
Mhm.
It's just not as painful. It's not the deep excavation
Right. Right. I
that
mean, I
I've,
could be grateful for it happening, but yeah,
yeah,
it's like I have to make a different choice than what I'm used to making.
exactly.
It
And it's painful. It really is because
is,
that
it's
those choices are
hard.
hardwired in.
It's yeah, at this point, yeah, like I have to make different choices if I
Right.
want to change things, and that's there's the realization of that, and then there's the putting it into action. And the putting it into
Absolutely.
action is like, Jesus.
Yep. And it's every decision we make.
Every single one.
And always, 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 it's bringing you to closer to self-love.
Yes.
That's it. That's our whole purpose is to get closer and closer to self-love so that we can embrace that we are a soul with a human, not
Mhm.
a human with a soul.
Right. Because you know what? Yeah, we are actually, that's the thing is we don't
Right.
have a soul. That's one of my
Right.
favorite things from Michael Singer. Like, we are the soul.
Exactly. The soul has a human they have to
Yeah,
deal with.
yeah, yeah. I am a soul and I am attached to this animal human body, which has
Right.
feelings and emotions. And it's going to be really, really interesting when we're not attached to the human body anymore and be like, what happened to our feelings? Like, what's going on? It's going
Right.
to be very interesting to me.
Well, that's why the souls have bodies. That's why the souls incarnate, is so that the soul can continue to grow, so it can continue to learn, so it can have lessons, so it can go through challenges, so that it gets to be a more powerful soul. It gets to be a more enlightened soul. It gets to ascend to a higher level. And then it's like that's why we come back as humans, so that the soul can keep ascending.
Yeah, yeah. It's such a like a perplexing thing because then on top of that, it's like, why? Why is there anything instead of nothing? I don't
Because
get
if there
it.
was, because if there was nothing, you wouldn't have any contrast.
Well, if there was nothing, there'd be nothing.
Well, but and there wouldn't be contrast.
Right. There wouldn't be contrast because there's not like it's just no, there wouldn't be. Yes. No, there wouldn't be. And yeah, I get that there's contrast with nothing because there's something. But why is there something?
Because again, then there's nothing.
Yeah, that's to me, that's just circular logic.
Like
Thanks, Robin.
if
That
you,
helps.
but if you like, if you've never known sadness,
Yeah, okay. So yeah, there would
then
be
how do you know
happiness.
joy?
No, agreed, agreed. And I totally get what you're saying. But deeper than that, why? There's no
Why
answer.
not? Why not?
No, I agree with you. Why not? But at the same time, why? Anyway. um yeah, so anyway, um the rest that what we were just discussing, I got taken away.
We were talking about
I got since I
grounding
was 4.
and this rest. We need rest. Yeah. We need to rest because it's
Rest.
like
Yeah.
your energetic body needs to rest.
Energetic body. Let's discuss that. Go. We've got 10 minutes.
Well, okay. You have your physical body.
That we do.
We have a physical body. We also have an emotional body, which is really very close to the physical body. You have the physical body, which is it's earth-based. You have the emotional body, which is attached to the physical body, but it's emotional.
Mhm.
Just slightly beyond that is like a spiritual body or an energetic body. It's all part of the same human. It's all part of us. It's all part of our energy field. It could be what some people would consider an aura or your energy field, whatever. But the energetic body is can go, I mean, it can be very close to us, but it also can be really far away from us, depending on the kind of boundaries that we have.
Oh. I know nothing about that.
I know, yeah. It also can be like if we have had like an interaction with somebody, like a really serious or even not an emotional reaction with somebody, then we may have parts of our energetic body attached to theirs. That's what a cord is.
Mm.
That's what an energetic cord is. But so reality is nothing happens outside of your energy body. Nothing happens outside of your energy field. So everything gets experienced through that lens, through your energetic lens, which is why I say if something bothers you, it's yours to heal because it's in your energy field, it's in your energy body.
Mhm.
And we all have cords all over the place, right? So one of the best ways to clear shit is to cut cords, right?
Right.
But the energy body itself is it's how we interact in the world. It's how we get our data. It's how we get our information. It's how we can sense and feel and know. Most of us put most of our time, energy, attention on our physical body.
That's what we
Sometimes
can feel and see.
exactly. Sometimes we do the emotional body, but for the most part, we don't go much farther than the physical body or the emotional body, which is
Mhm.
like a fraction of 1% of your makeup,
So little.
right? It's really
Oh,
zero. Like it's like
little.
nothing.
It's the densest part of our energy.
Right. It's the particle, which is like 0.01% of the whole atom.
It's amazing.
99.99% is the space.
Right, right. It's
99.99% is the space. We focus on the 0.01% that's the particle.
and the particle itself is still energy.
Yes, but it's just a blip in time. It's a
Yeah.
moment in
It's not
time.
even, yeah, that's the thing, is because the particle isn't even
It blips in,
solid.
it blips out. It
Yeah.
blips in, it blips out. It's like a snapshot. It's like a moment in time. It's like a
There
picture.
is a grand design, people. there is.
So, but the energy body is
Yeah.
a bigger piece and we just ignore it. But that's how we get all of our data. It's how we get all of our information. It's how we interact with people. It's how we connect with, it's actually how we connect with our soul self, right? When I go out to connect with my soul star, I go up beyond my seventh chakra. There's a portal, right? It's called eighth chakra, but like you go through that portal and I'm not even in this physical plane anymore. I'm in like the galactic quantum field up there. It's very cool. But that's so much more real than the physical world, but we focus on the physical world.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I mean, it's amazing. Since I've gotten this, developed this ability to see energy, like it really, when I close my eyes and I see it much more, better much more better when I have my eyes closed. Um, and it is like being on a different plane. It's like this shit is real and it's all over the place. Like even I can hold up my hand and I can actually see my hand with my eyes closed.
Exactly.
This is a change in the energy, you know what I mean? But like there is so much around us that we are not aware of.
Right.
That's really all I had to say with that one.
That's really all there is.
Yeah, right. Mic drop. I don't know, but
Yeah, right. Exactly.
that's really not much to say beyond that. um but yeah, it's an astounding thing. Anyway, what else do we want to say in the next 5 minutes?
I think we've covered a lot.
I mean, we have, right? Like there's
I feel like
I
this has been
forgot.
a pretty extensive conversation.
Right, it's kind of ranged all over. We've covered a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah,
um cool. All right, cool. Do you like my wedding ring?
I love it. It's
I
adorable.
keep looking at it. I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. um anyway, yeah, it's good. It reminds me every day that I am myself and my own, and I love myself.
Nice. Very good.
Yay.
Nice.
Anyway, that was a non sequitur. So I guess that's it for this week.
Okay.
We'll be back next week, I think, right? Well,
I assume so.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
I mean,
I'll be in Florida, but I
oh,
think
okay.
I'll be able to like set aside the time because it's only 2 o'clock. It's not like it's gonna be, you know,
If we need to reschedule, we'll do reschedule. It's really good.
awesome. Awesome. All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Robin, as
Have a
always.
great weekend.
You too. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.